pushing off the back leg, potentially bumping our training partner forward with the knee, making sure that there's weight on his hand, okay, so that when I get into this underhook, my ear is low on my training partner's stomach, and I'm low on my training partner's waist. I don't want to have this underhook just anywhere on my training partner's back, okay? So the second element that's really, really important is if we rotate, is that I control the far hip. I don't want just the underhook, but I want a tight waist. So the more I can get low on my partner, okay, and the more I can get my shoulder in behind my training partner's back and onto my side, the easier for me it's going to be to reach my training partner's far hip. So we really grab that oblique, okay, and that hip bone area, okay. Again, nice and low down on the waist, okay, like it's a seatbelt around your training partner's waist. A third key thing here, okay, is ideally I want to control my training partner's opposite leg, okay. That's going to vary depending upon the situation. Sometimes we're not going to be able to control the far leg. But the next key thing here, okay, is arguably the most important one, okay? This is what's going to facilitate me holding him in these positions for a very long time. This is what's going to facilitate me coming up to my knees, okay? Which is something that we're going to look at when we talk about the directions that we want to go, is the lower leg shift, okay? As long as my partner's knee is between my two knees, there's always going to be that potential that he starts walking the knee outwards and flattening me out. Okay, so what I need to do under these circumstances is, let's rotate again, is I get nice hiked up underhook, good tight waist, and now I have this leg position here, okay? Make this knee wide. Good. Now, for now, we're not going to talk about the far leg grip, okay? So we're just going to have our hand here. Pay attention to my legs now. Okay, lower leg shifts, probably the most important part of this. I'm all the way onto my side. We switch our feet. Remember, at no point do we ever leave my training partner's leg uncovered. We always make a switch, okay, simultaneously, to where I either cross, okay, or I never leave my training partner's foot uncovered. So we can switch them at the same time, almost like a windshield wiper action. Okay, we could potentially cover and then remove the leg. Okay, a couple different ways that we can do it. The main thing is I never do this. Now from here, once we lock, I take my heel right there in front of my training partner's ankle and I start to rake the heel back towards me. Do not put your foot on the floor and just do this. Okay, your training partner straightens his leg. Okay, and it's tough for me to control it. I need to put a bend in my partner's leg. I do that by pointing my knee down to the floor, and I use my heel when I rake it towards my butt. That puts a bend in his leg. So that now, from this position, I just straighten my leg, my bottom leg rather, towards, okay, the other one. So I completely straighten my leg. And now my partner's knee comes out from between my knees. We figure for the legs, and now from here, the key thing to hold this position is that I point my knees down towards the floor, and I use that tight waist grip and potentially this far leg grip to really pull my hips into my training partner's knee. Again, his whole thing is to start driving me flat, and if he can drive me flat, even with an underhook, he could kill it. So if I don't have proper tension running through my legs in the right directions, he is able to take his knee and put it to my top hip. Right now his knee's on my bottom hip. He puts it to my top hip. Now I have an underhook, but he drives me flat. My far shoulder and hip are on the floor. This underhook is useless, okay? So it's important that when I have this underhook position and I get my lower leg shift, we're tight with our knees. Our legs are figure forward, and I point my knees down to the floor. It doesn't look like much, but the difference from this to this is huge. This, he points his knee up to my top hip. Okay? This, he tries to point his knee up to my top hip. It is much more difficult. In addition, I pull my hips into my partner. So when he goes to straighten that leg and put it on top, so tough. Okay? So we need to take our far shoulder and hip off the floor. We need to get a deep, tight waist, potentially controlling the secondary leg. That's going to vary. And then from there, the lower leg shift. When we hit that lower leg shift, the key elements here are going to be we make that switch. Okay, again, we have a deep, tight waist, and we're pulling ourselves in tight right there at the oblique. When we make that switch, we never leave the leg uncovered, okay, because we could easily kick out. So we carefully switch our feet over. I point my knee down to the floor. We don't plant our foot and point our knee up. My knee points, horizontally across the mat, rather. We back heel and put a bend in his leg. So I pull my heel towards my top butt cheek here. Okay, don't have it down on the floor. Don't settle for being down on your training partner's knee. Come up to the ankle and pull it so that there's a bend in the leg. And now I shoot my leg straight back in line so that my hip goes completely straight. Okay, and his leg comes out. Now from here, we figure four the legs. And most importantly, the underhook's useless if he's able to flatten me out. So if I don't have the proper tension running through my legs, all this work was useless because he's going to straighten the leg, point it to my top hip. Now he drives me flat. Now I have the underhook, but it doesn't work. So very important is once we do all of those things, that tight waist pulls our hips in and points our knee down to the floor. And from here, when he tries to put that knee to the top hip, it's very, very hard, and it's much easier for me to control this position and start going into my offense. So those are the key things that I like to focus on when I'm in that position to make sure that you take a good position, turn it into a very solid offensive position. All right, guys, let's look at a situation where we want to get into an underhook, but we're in an open guard situation against an opponent on two knees. Now, there's tons of different ways that we may end up in underhook situations, escaping from bottom, even standing to ground situations. So we're not going to cover all of them, but for the purposes of pulling into an underhook half guard from a neutral position, this is a very good option for us because it puts us right into a lower leg shift type situation. So our opponent's going to be kneeling in front of us, open guard situation, and we're at a little bit of distance. Okay, from here we're going to come out and we're just going to start making contact with this cross shoulder post, and I'm going to take my inside or my downed leg, okay, and I'm going to open, step out, and spear inside my training partner's foot. So I want to just stick my foot right inside of his foot. And I'm going to use that to push my training partner's knee outwards and start scooting in, digging this tight waist. And what this does is it allows me that